The film commences with a news anchor providing a detailed summary of an extraterrestrial invasion of Earth. In the midst of despair, a united human military force, equipped with advanced mechanical suits, achieves a significant victory in the Battle of Verdun. Rita, a highly skilled Special Forces soldier, is celebrated as a hero for her role in eliminating hundreds of the aliens, known as mimics. Major William Cage of the U.S. Army appears as a prominent figure in news broadcasts, promoting both Rita and the ongoing war effort. Cage is abruptly awakened during a helicopter journey to London, where he is scheduled to meet with Western Allied Commander General Brigham. He assumes that the general's intention is to enlist his help in enhancing his public image. However, General Brigham instead instructs Cage to join the first wave of Allied troops landing in France and provide on-the-ground media coverage. Lacking any field experience, Cage attempts to blackmail the general by threatening to expose him through the media. Initially, it appears that the general has given in, but he ultimately orders Cage's arrest. Cage finds himself waking up in the afternoon atop a stack of duffel bags at Heathrow Airport, which has been repurposed as a military base. A sergeant forcefully hands him boots and derogatorily refers to him as a maggot. Another sergeant, named Farrell, takes over from there. General Brigham has sent orders to Farrell to demote Cage from officer to private, and Cage is assigned to a motley crew of soldiers known as the J Squad. The group consists of Ford, Griff, Kimmel, Skinner, and Nance. As Cage is introduced to them, they are caught gambling by Farrell, who forces them to eat the playing cards and instructs them to prepare Cage for the upcoming mission. The day of the invasion arrives, and Cage is a bundle of nerves. He is suited up, but the members of J Squad fail to teach him basic weapon handling, expecting that he will be killed swiftly. While aboard the aircraft, the squad members mock Cage, exacerbating his anxiety. However, just as they are about to descend onto the French coast, the rear of their airship is blown apart, and they are forced to drop down ahead of schedule. Although the operation to reclaim Europe was intended as a surprise attack, the mimics are ready and waiting. They ambush and massacre the human forces. Sergeant Rita also lands on the beach, but is killed within a matter of minutes. The remaining members of J Squad are rapidly eliminated. Cage, still reeling from shock and teetering on the brink of death, manages to grab a claymore mine just as a massive blue mimic charges towards him. The subsequent explosion kills both Cage and the blue mimic, covering Cage's body in alien blood. In the following scene, Cage awakens in a panic atop the duffel bags, with the same sergeant present, referring to him as a maggot. Despite Cage's frantic attempts to explain the situation and warn of the impending mimic ambush, Farrell once again leads him to J Squad. After experiencing multiple deaths and subsequent awakenings on the duffel bags, Cage gradually becomes more proficient at attempting to save J Squad members and, of course, Rita. In one iteration, he survives long enough to rescue Rita from a ship set to explode and kill the approaching mimics. Upon realizing Cage's situation, Rita instructs him to locate her when he next wakes up, before they both perish once more. Cage awakens on the duffel bags again and begins cooperating with Sergeant Farrell and J Squad to buy time to find Rita. After numerous failed efforts to slip away, Cage finally succeeds in escaping and locating Rita in a training hangar filled with training drones, initially cold towards him. Rita's demeanor changes when Cage explains his experiences. She takes him to a weapons manufacturing area where her associate, Dr. Carter, works, an expert in mimic biology. Carter was a researcher whose theory posited that all mimics are neural manifestations of a single Omega alien overmind. This led him to develop a device that can pinpoint the Omega's location when stabbed into an alpha mimic. Cage struggles to process all of this information, but Rita emphasizes that their primary objective is to survive the upcoming invasion. She then proceeds to rigorously train Cage, deliberately killing him whenever he sustains injuries. Each time he dies, he wakes up again on the duffel bags, allowing them to start anew and continuously refine their strategies. Together, they gradually make progress in their mission to locate and destroy the Omega, utilizing Cage's time-looping ability to their advantage. As Cage becomes increasingly skilled in combat and adapts to the situation, he forms a deeper bond with Rita. Each repetition of the day brings them closer to achieving their ultimate goal of ending the alien invasion and saving humanity. In a particular time loop, Cage suffers severe injuries, and Rita emphasizes the importance of ensuring his complete death rather than an accidental revival. This is because receiving a human blood transfusion breaks the time loop, which is precisely what happened to Rita. Unexpectedly, after one of Cage's deaths, he experiences a mental vision that reveals the Omega's location within a dam in Germany. Rita and Carter theorize that Cage's newfound visions could be the result of him effectively becoming an alpha after being exposed to the blue blood. Consequently, Cage and Rita concentrate on surviving the invasion. Their combat skills on the beach improve significantly, but they continue to face death and the subsequent time loops. Cage develops feelings for Rita, and witnessing her die repeatedly takes an emotional toll on him. In one loop, Cage gives up, escapes the base, and heads to a bar, where he believes he can break the loop. However, his plan fails when the mimics locate and kill him, forcing him back to the start of the loop. After multiple failed attempts and deaths, Cage and Rita finally make it inland and discover a helicopter in a farmhouse. Rita confronts Cage, which she realizes he is trying to convince her to stay in the farmhouse. Cage confesses that they have looped to the farmhouse multiple times, but Rita always dies. Hoping to save her from another death, he decides to go alone. When Rita questions why it matters what happens to her, Cage is at a loss for words. However, Rita now understands that Cage has feelings for her. Despite growing closer to her, Cage senses that Rita remains focused on their mission. Rita, taken aback, intentionally gets them both killed. In the next loop, Cage chooses not to seek out Rita, and instead ventures alone to the German dam. However, his plan does not unfold as expected. The Omega is not there, and Cage is ambushed by an Alpha, which tries to strip him of his time-resetting ability. To escape, Cage drowns himself. In the following loop, Cage, Rita, and Carter collaborate to decipher the visions. They deduce that the Omega Overmind orchestrated the victory at Verdun as a trap to lure humans into invading Europe, where their armies would be ambushed and wiped out. Lacking other leads, they turn to Carter's device, which he created based on his theory but is still incomplete. Carter informs them that the device is missing some components. Determined to obtain the necessary equipment, Rita and Cage set their sights on General Brigham, who possesses the missing parts. After multiple failed attempts, Cage and Frataski infiltrate the Ministry of Defense, where Cage persuades Brigham to hand over Carter's prototype device capable of locating the Omega. They obtain the device and use it on Cage, revealing the Omega's true location beneath the Louvre Pyramid in Paris. As they attempt to flee Allied headquarters, their getaway car crashes, and an airbag knocks Rita unconscious before she can kill Cage. Cage awakens in a hospital and realizes he is out of the time loop after receiving a blood transfusion. With no more loops and only a few hours left before the invasion, Rita and Cage free themselves and return to the base to recruit J-Squad in their mission to destroy the Omega. Once they arrive at the Louvre, the mimics attack their airship, and during the firefight, half of the J-Squad is killed. Cage, Rita, and the 3 remaining J-Squad members use the airship's remaining engine power to slide into the museum. The rest of the J-Squad sacrifices themselves to buy time for Cage and Rita to reach the museum. Upon their arrival, Rita tells Cage she will distract a patrolling Alpha mimic, while he detonates a grenade belt on the submerged Omega located underwater at the bottom of the Louvre. Before drawing the Alpha away from their path to the submerged Omega, Rita kisses Cage to express her gratitude for getting her this far. Following a short pursuit, the Alpha manages to apprehend and kill Rita. Meanwhile, Cage plunges underwater in an effort to reach the Omega. The Alpha dives after him and stabs him with its sharp appendage. Despite the pain, pulls the pins from all the grenades and releases the belt into the Omega. The ensuing explosion obliterates the Omega, and as a result, every remaining mimic perishes. In the midst of his dying moments, Cage is drenched in the Omega's blood. Suddenly, he awakens in astonishment, finding himself on the helicopter ride to London from the morning before the invasion ever occurred. This time, however, he finds himself in an alternate reality. In this new timeline, he watches a news broadcast where the general reveals that, following an unexplained explosion in Paris, all the mimics have been exterminated, and human forces will commence their sweep through Europe the following day. Upon arriving at the base, Cage discovers all members of the J-Squad alive and well. He then seeks out Rita, and upon finding her, realizes she doesn't recognize him. She greets him with the same aloofness she exhibited each time they initially met in a time loop, as she asks, "Yes, what you want?" Cage can't help but smile at her. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to stay on top of all the latest recaps and never miss a beat. Thank you for watching.